Welcome in, world. Welcome into your favorite show, Views from the Stands. I'm your host, Stevie B, Steve Brennan, and with me are my two partners. We got the GM, George Michael. How you feeling, brother?
You know me, baby. Living large, baby. Living large.
That's what I love to hear. Love to hear. Love feel the enthusiasm already going. And I cannot forget my guy over in the top right-hand corner over there. We got our guy, BC, Brandon in the building. How's it going, brother?
Oh, what's going on? The champ is here. The champ is live. We are ready to go on this.
Oh, there we go, man.
Got that belt on and everything, man.
I mean, you just need to change that to a Boston B, and we'd be looking really good. But, I mean, we can't all be perfect. It's all good. You got time to learn.
Dude, fuck Boston, dude.
Yeah.
All right, man. We have so much to get in. We got so much to get into in today's episode. We're going to look back at all the moves of the NBA draft. That was an exciting night, and the NFL season is right around the corner. So don't you worry. We're going to go ahead and start kicking off with a little bit of division breakdowns because we got so much to talk about with the NFL. It never stops, and neither do we. But before we get into all that, all the sports talk, we want to do a little bit of self-promotion. G-Mike, why don't you go ahead and take it away for us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Guys, if you're into sports gambling, I run a Telegram channel called The Degenerates, where we charge $5 a month and we could get you up to winnings from $10 to $20 to $50 to $100 a day. So if you guys are into that, look at the link below. You can put that on your web browser. If not, just hit me up on one of my socials that you will see on the screen and we could get you going, right?
I like it. Who doesn't like a little extra cash in their pocket, you know? And we also cannot forget our guy up there, Brandon, for Brandes Media. For any of your photography needs, go ahead and hit brandes.com up. It's Brandes Media, excuse me. And it's a current fantastic business, fantastic people, and they do a lot of great work out there. So if you're looking for any kind of photography needs, that's your place to go. But
or anybody needs photography needs. Me and the missus, we got you covered.
There you go, man.
Power couple right there. Love it.
Now that we got all the business out the way, let's actually get to the real business and jump into some sports. You boys ready?
Always.
All right, man. Well, hey, we had some NFL news to start with because the NBA dominated the headlines, but the Jacksonville Jaguars reached a deal with the city of Jacksonville at a vote of 14-1 to revamp Everbank Field that would keep the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville for the next 30 years. The deal is estimated to be about $1.45 billion, and construction will begin after the 2025 season. Guys, do you think this will finally put the end to all the rumors that Jacksonville is going out of the city of Jacksonville or going to London? What do you guys think? Is this going to put an end to that?
Jacksonville going to London, the Jaguars going to London, man. The only time this is going to happen if the NFL truly expands into international waters and they actually have like 4 to 6 teams out there, man. No, Jacksonville, they're staying put. They're not going.
I mean, I will say though, the London Jaguars is quite the name to it, like the luxury car brand. But I don't know, man. Like new deals and stuff like that are nice. You know, like I know hearing about the Rays Stadium deal in St. Pete was nice to hear last year, but talks kept getting stalled and getting pushed back. And I mean, shoot, we're almost in July right now. And I mean, they're still, up in the air about their decision on whether or not they're going to get a vote to stay and everything. So, it's good publicity, but until there's actual like renovations taking place, until the stuff is actually done, I wouldn't discount it right now.
So you're still, even though they're signing the deal for 30 years, you think the Jaguars still could go?
It's a possibility. I mean, it all just depends, honestly, on, again, how well the attendance is going to be. I know it's Duval County and everything, but for me, my thing is when it comes to stadium deals, again, maybe it's just because I'm maybe a little soured on the Rays Stadium situation. Until I actually see the renovations taking place, until I actually see those butts in the seats improve, never say never in this world, man.
Well, I think what I like is every contract, here's the fine print of it as well, is that it says the stadium is going to be there for the next 30 years. That does not say the Jacksonville Jaguars will be there for the next 30 years. So there still is a possibility for that. It might also become the Jacksonville Bulls. Who knows? Just throwing that one out there or something. There was nothing saying that. But you know what I mean here, that it's saying that the stadium will be an awfully nice stadium for 30 years. Whether or not the Jacksonville Jaguars are in it, that's a whole other story. But I really do think that this will finally put the end to it, though. Shad Khan is pretty much tried to say everything that he's going to stay there. But he definitely has those ties to the London, and it's all right. Exactly. It's almost like pillow talk to keep him around for a little while longer while you're looking at the other city over there,
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah,
go
you got
ahead,
to.
Rick.
I was just gonna say you got to respect the hustle, and again, just Jaguars fans, be cautiously optimistic. Be happy that there's talks of the extension and that they signed it and everything. That's great, but don't don't just celebrate just yet.
It's just it doesn't make sense to me if they would move. Like, let's say they go to London, so it'll be the London Jaguars, and they actually still play in the NFL. It doesn't make sense to me all the away games that these teams have to go and play, the jet lag that they're gonna go through. They're gonna have to show up. They're gonna have to play their game Sundays and leave Sunday night to go to a game for the next week to be settled and everything in London and get used to.
Unless they add, like you were saying before, unless they add maybe two teams, a London and I'm not sure, Liverpool. I'm just throwing another place out there or something. But if they add something that's in a general vicinity, you play those two teams in that 2 week span, and then you go on your bye week. So like they could structure it that way. But it would be difficult. And then let's not forget it, they also have different money, different currency.
Yeah.
So taxes. There's a lot that goes into a team going overseas, which is a whole other conversation for another day. But Jacksonville has just always been the one that's been rumored to the strongest rumored team to possibly be going over there if they're not starting their own franchise.
I think it's because the owner he doesn't care about spending that money to go overseas. I think he likes going over there with his organization and his team and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure with his family and friends he goes over to vacation while they're playing the game.
Yeah. I mean, the Khan family has plenty of money. You've got Shad with Jaguars. You've got Tony running AEW. So they've got enough money where it's like if they can find some way to like subsidize it or like if they might have to pay a little bit extra to make it happen, for them they will do it because they, from what I've seen, like they're a family that likes to kind of push. They like to push the boundaries for better or worse.
Yeah.
So.
The wild thing is too is the games seem like they do pretty well over actually, and it could just be that it's only once every year, so it's a big event, and then like would that be sustainable? If that would they really continually you still be going, But they seem like they do pretty well over there. But some interesting stuff I did find out about the stadium though. If you haven't seen yet, the stadium will resemble the Bean in Chicago and have the stadium yard overhead covering, and this is really neat. Shading for fans from the sun and rain, and it allows views of the city and the St. Johns River.
Nice.
So the way it's looking is that they'll have an open air covering so that it's almost be like tented so that no matter where you're sitting, you'll still be able to get good views. And if it's raining, it's not really going to affect the game. It'll take away a little bit of like the elements, but it'll also be nice for fans in a lightning storm. They shouldn't theoretically have to cancel the game.
Yeah, any stadium that you build, because growing up in Central Florida, especially, any stadium you build in the Florida area, even on the East Coast, like up in Jacksonville, because you've got the turbulence of the Atlantic Ocean coming in, you gotta have some way to prepare for bad weather. Like you can't have every other game up there being a rainout. It's just going to turn fans away, and not only that, it's going to damage all your equipment you got too. So it's definitely a smart move, and I will say this, Bucks, if you're listening to this, take notice. Take notice.
Yeah. The last I'll say about the stadium, it was a lot of money to spend on a stadium and a team in the last 30 years that is 8-8 in the playoffs and only hosted 5 home playoff games. So that sounds like about good $1.45 billion money well spent there, guys.
They're about to host a lot of Super Bowls, though. They're about to get a lot of Super Bowls now.
Yeah, that's about
they'll be 6 in the next 10 years.
Yep. Will they be at any of them? Probably not.
Correct, exactly. So moving on from the NFL all the way to the NBA, and man, there was some big stuff going on last night. The New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets made a massive pre-draft deal. The Nets send Malik Bridges and a 2026 second-round pick to the Knicks for forward Bojan Bogdanovic, 4 unprotected first-round picks for 25, 27, 29, 31 season. 2025 projected first-round pick from Milwaukee, and a 2025 second-round pick, and a 2028 unprotected pick swap. Man, That was intense. It's also leading to a little bit something else that people are starting to jump on board with, making T-shirts with. It's leading people to change the name from the New York Knicks to the Villanova Knicks, as this teams up Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo, all who played on the 2018 national championship team. That is an awesome story. What do you guys think about that move? That was a lot to give up for Mikal Bridges, though.
Bro, 8 picks. There goes the Knicks' future. They better be winning right now.
Yeah, Steven, get the tissue boxes, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude,
I like the pick.
I like the trade because you're putting you're going with the theory that they won a national championship back in 2017, 2018, whichever it was, and you're like, okay, so maybe they could win an NBA championship together. You know, that's a theory that they got. They're even looking at Kyle Lowry to bring him in as a vet, and he's a Villanova cat. So I do like the theory of it. It's just that you gave up 8 picks for him, so your future is going down the drain. You really need to win from now to 3 to 5 years, right? And then when you look at the roster and how it's going to be constructed, you traded away 8 picks for this guy, so you're gonna have to put him in the starting lineup. Now you just you're gonna re-sign OG Anunoby for 5 years, $12 million, and you still got Julius Randle, you got Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo. So it's either you're thinking about playing with 6 men on the court versus 5, or who's gonna be the 6 man that's gonna come off the bench. And I know it's not gonna be OG, because he's gonna just be the defensive stopper for the other team's best player. He can't really score at will like that. It's not going to be Josh Hart because he can't score like that either, and they're going to need his rebounds if Julius Randle's playing at the 5. That's small 5 right there. So Dante DiVincenzo, you're going to expect him to come off the bench and score 20 points a game? I could see it. I could see that it does happen.
I'm not mistaken. Didn't he come off the bench at Villanova in that championship series anyways, though?
I don't think he played in the championship. I think he was injured. But he did come off the bench for the Knicks the first half of the season. So the first half of this season.
Well, and we're saying all this, though, too, and this is also despite the fact that Isaiah Hartenstein's a free agent, and he was, he wasn't a star for the team, but he was definitely, you could say, a key part of that rotation. And if you lose him, you've got OG, you got, like you said, but you got Julius now playing the 5. That's a small 5. Like, at what cost, not only are you losing 8 draft picks, but you're also potentially missing out on a chance to re-sign a key part of that rotation. So...
You know what? I'm going to make a bold prediction here, and I think this might possibly happen just because of the theme that's been going on. Is that Tibbs is going to be out next year, and they're going to go get Jay Wright. Jay Wright's been sitting on the sideline watching basketball. These are all his boys. They're still extremely close. It makes perfect sense. He's young enough. He's got the look for New York. He's a Villanova guy. It's right outside the area. It would be the perfect. He's a Big East guy, So like it would be the absolutely perfect fit. If you wanted to continue this Villanova thing, now that you've got damn near the whole team on there, why would you not get the coach who they all love and respect? They talk about it all the time. And let's face it, Tibbs has always been a guy that will grind hard, grind your player down, unfortunately, and then on top of it too, you'll probably make the second round. You might make some good runs. Damn good coach, but just he can never get it done, it seems like. So why not go get somebody that's a fresh face and these guys all know and love?
Yeah, and that's the thing that, again, it's kind of been the general theme of this discussion has been cohesion, chemistry with your team, with your coaching staff. And the more that I've seen it, the more I've watched NBA over the years, the more I've just kind of seen how important that is. Like, you don't want to keep blowing things up and getting new pieces in. You want to get guys that are kind of familiar with each other. Yes, and we'll talk about this in the draft too. Like, you want to bring guys in that are the best player, but also too, if they have somebody on the team that knows them, knows how to work with them, I think that's something that can really make a big difference for a team moving forward. And that's one thing why with the Magic, I like the young core that they have, because they've been together for 2-3 years now. You've got brothers on the same team, so talk about cohesion right there. They played so well together. So I think the Knicks strategy, it's interesting, and if you can, I'm intrigued by the potential of seeing an all Villanova team, possibly bringing in, if they do bring in their head coach, that's incredible.
I think that one makes the most sense because he's young enough. He left because he just wanted to spend some time with the family. He's been out of the game, I think, for 3 years. That's generally when coaches start getting that itch again and seeing all his guys. I don't think he's ever been a head coach in the NBA, but he's well respected in the league. It wouldn't like be like a one of those hires that you're like, oh, really? That's all you could get. He would be a front runner for any position if he decided to come back.
Yeah.
And he's in the top 5. I could be wrong. That I'm pretty sure of college coaches of all time, at least top 10. And so I think that would be the perfect little fit in this. And what else I think is kind of interesting about what the Knicks are doing in this situation, they all have guys that are all relatively minimal contracts. The only ones that are really going to be demanding money out of this one is they just signed, which we were just talking about, George alluded to, OG Anunoby just re-signed 5 years, 212. He's going to be a little bit of money. You got Brunson, and then Julius Randle. His contract is almost expiring, if I'm not mistaken. So you're not really paying that many guys. They can maybe even lure in an actual legit free agent with what they got, the chemistry got going on there in the young core. Like they're all young players too. OG's only 27, so like they don't really have an old guy on the team. I'm pretty sure that the Hartenstein's going to resign too, if I'm not mistaken. They haven't announced yet, but I'm pretty sure they're going to probably get him back.
There's a couple other teams that are looking at him, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can get those back and then bring in, they have the cap space to bring in a legit, and we got free agents coming up on Monday, so that's going to be another episode coming up here soon, but we'll get into that a lot more in the coming week. But I mean, what about Durant? That's always been the rumor there, Durant with those young guys or whatever, that's a Durant move.
Yeah, but what would they trade for Durant?
Yeah,
it depends. Because you're right. Now they don't have any picks.
Now they don't have any picks. They don't have any picks, and
right.
You're not going to trade away. You're not going to trade away one of those Villanova cats. There's a reason why you brought the fourth one in. So it's like,
yeah, maybe they'll just trade them the Rangers or something like that. That's all they got.
Right. They give them everything
for that organization. I don't know.
But
yeah,
the question is right, because the reigning champs right now are the Boston Celtics. Fuck Boston, but the reigning champs right now are them, and are they good enough to beat the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series?
Not right now. No.
So it's like, yeah, I get why you made the trade. You want to have that chemistry. You want to.
You're going more of the all.
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did improve when it comes to their scoring, because Malik Bridges could easily give you 20 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
And a defensive standpoint, I feel like it's just the same. Really, obviously you bring back OG Anunoby, so you still keep the defensive monster, but the ultimate question is, can you beat NBA champions? And right now, you got to beat the reigning champions, the Boston Celtics. Will they beat them? No, they won't.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to say what this Knicks squad will look like now that they out of that, because when OG did finally come back in that last stretch, they were 27-6. They were hot. They were playing really well, and unfortunately for the Knicks, they got really, really banged up in towards the end. They had nothing left.
Yeah.
So it would have been an interesting series though if it was been New York and not Indiana in that players series with Boston though. I think that series would have been a little bit different. I don't think Boston.
100%.
But I think New York would have gave them a help.
It wouldn't have been a sweep.
Yeah. No. Exactly. I think New York would have definitely gave Boston a lot.
At least one game.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I could see it going probably like to 6. Game 6.
I still think Boston would have won. I don't think it would have changed like the outcome. I don't think it would have been like something drastic. But I think I would go with 6. Yeah, something like that. Possibly a game 7. But yeah, I think that series would have looked a little bit different, and then maybe the finals would have looked a little bit different because Boston would have had to work a little bit harder to get to where they were. But
playing in the Garden, that's not easy. The energy, electric energy out there, man. Jeez.
Mecca.
But that's not the only thing that happened in the last few days as far as the NBA goes. The Miami Heat and Bam Adebayo have reached a 3-year, $166 million extension. I tell you what, man, Adebayo has to be feeling that South Florida rain in the form of money. He also has 2 years left of $72 million from his deal from 2017. Bam this season averaged 19.3 points a game, 10.4 rebounds, and 3.9 assists, and he also will be a member of the 2024 U.S. Olympic team. Mike, this is your city. This is your team. How you feeling about the deal, my man?
I love it. Put him in there. Don't let him go. Don't let him think about going anywhere else. Strap him down. Let him know Miami is the place that he's going to stay at forever. And then now they're going to try and make moves to put other pieces together with him. He's young. He's 27, 28 years old. He still has a
Yep.
lot of basketball left in him. He's improved every single year. If you look at his stats, he's
Yep.
scored more. He's got more rebounds. He's facilitated more. And now he's even shooting the three. He's shooting probably
Right.
2 threes per game, making one at least per game. So it's like
And
he's definitely
he also
improving.
made all NBA defensive team. Like he's improved every
And he's
single
got
year.
it snubbed off of Defensive Player of the Year maybe twice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it. You give him the extension. He greatly deserves that. He's been improving every single year, like I alluded to. And, yeah, man, just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he really embodies that Heat culture that you guys have down there. Like the versatility, the willingness to literally do anything that he can to help the team win, and the fact that he can guard pretty much 1 through 5 on D, and like you said, like he's able to expand his range out to 3. Like it's a weapon that you don't want to let go of, and a guy that you can be a franchise player for your city easily.
Yeah, he's definitely a good ambassador. You never hear any negative press out of him. He's seems like always got a pretty good attitude on him, smiling. He seems like a good jokester. Jimmy Butler likes him, and that goes a long way. They play well together. If Jimmy vouches for you, then you're all right because he demands only respect and work. So if you're doing that and Jimmy's not yelling at you, then you're doing something right.
Yeah, facts. And with Jimmy too, you bringing up Jimmy, he's not signing an extension this summer, and he's gonna try to test the market out next summer. And I don't blame him. You give him one more year, all you got. Every single year, he's been a dog. Yeah, in the regular season, he's tippy toeing and he's not doing anything. But when playoffs come, he's a damn animal out there, and he gives you every single blood, sweat, and tears that you asked for. And he wants to see what direction Miami is gonna go with getting pieces either around him or around Bam. So I don't really blame him, but hey, just give us one more year. And if we don't give you what you think is up to par for yourself, then it is what it is. You got to test out the waters. Business is business.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Heat, though, you've probably followed the Heat a lot more. You're a lot more probably attached to the what's going on down there with the Heat. There was that big rumors that Dame Lillard wanted to come down to Miami, or there was like a possibility of doing that. Is there any more traction that you've heard about that, or is that like he's going to stay with the Bucks now, or what's your thoughts on that? Can that still work?
I don't know about with Miami, but I feel like he does want to get out of Milwaukee. I feel like he's bored over there, and he's not. He wanted to rebrand himself. He got a divorce and all this stuff, so he wanted to like go into a new chapter in his life. And Portland, bro, like, if you really think about it, if you look up on Google what there is to do in Portland, is probably like the top 2 things are a museum and a museum. Like there's not really anything. Yeah, there's not really much to do over there. I'm pretty sure if you would have gone to New York, LA, Boston, Detroit, Miami, wherever the case may be, with a big time city and a big time market, he wanted to be in commercials like he's doing now. Yeah, he still has that with Gatorade and Nike and stuff. But I'm pretty sure he wanted a lot of endorsements, and he wanted to keep doing his music thing. Miami, you're going to be able to do music 100%. Like, yeah. I think that he does want to get out of Milwaukee. I just can't tell you if he wants to come to Miami after everything that has happened. And maybe even he would want to go to another team with big time money. I don't really know with Dame, but last year he said it. He said that he wanted to go to Miami, and that's why the Portland general manager, he got petty, and he said, "No, I'm not sending you over there. I'm sending you to any other team that I want."
I mean, it seems like he'd be a good fit with. I was gonna say, it seems like aside from just the off court, culture too, that he would be a great fit for. Like just on the court too. Like you got one of the best range 3-point shooters of all time. You've got a guy that he's getting up there in age, but he can still play at a high level. Pairing him with he's an offensive weapon. Pairing him with Jimmy Butler on the perimeter, I think, is like a match made in heaven. And then again, you've got Bam Adebayo down low that can pretty much do everything else that you need. It's a perfect fit for him.
Yeah.
So as a quick, you said something about music, just maybe kind of think of something real quick. Is Dame Lillard, just on the top of your head, is Dame Lillard the best basketball rapper of all time?
I think Shaq is. Shaq?
I was going to say, you can't sleep on Shaq. Yeah, the Diesel was hot, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Shaq be throwing it down. He still be rapping too, and
Yeah.
he has a whole album. Obviously, Dame has a whole album too. He has two albums, but
I'm
I
sure,
feel
I'm
like
sure you have heard, shout out to Full Sail, where we graduated from. Shaq recorded an album at Full Sail.
yeah, that's right. He did.
The Diesel and Full Sail. I love it. We're gonna move from.
I seen the Diesel at a music festival DJing, bro, and he was
Oh yeah,
pretty
from-
awesome, bro.
Dude,
He was pretty
all those
awesome.
videos, dude. All those videos of him DJing, man. It's like he still got it.
Yeah, bro. He's a kid at heart, man. That
DJ.
guy's
Oh
a
yeah,
kid
yeah.
at heart.
Just yeah, exactly. It just
Yeah.
you gotta love just what he stands for anymore, and just the positive nature that he tries to present, and the charity work that he does. And he had a stretch when he was playing the league that he kind of not had bad publicity. He was getting along with the press, and I think he kind of had to grow up a little bit. And now that he's especially done with the league, he's one of the best ambassadors basketball could ask for. He's just a fun guy.
Facts.
And has made the most of being his size and being himself. And he's completely himself in everything that he does. So that's a pretty good transition. But we're gonna make one more transition from I guess Shaq rap into how about let's talk about some kids trying to make a name for themselves here, man. We got the NBA draft that just wrapped up about 2 hours ago. And,
He was gonna bring up some rappers. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, hell, with the off season for most sports are coming up very soon, so we can definitely have that debate and probably we'll be looking for something. But so the NBA draft just wrapped up. I got to ask you guys something about this too, which I didn't even realize until this year. Do you like the 2-day draft thing?
I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just think it's not as. For me, it's not so much excitement for the NBA draft compared to the NFL draft. Like, I feel like for the
100%.
NFL draft, it's just way more excitement. Like, leading up to it. Like, some people even told me, they're like, oh, man, the NBA draft is tomorrow. Like, with the NFL draft, like, you know when it's going to be. The last Thursday of April.
You're sitting around.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean that's the thing. That's the thing. This is just the NBA trying to figure out some way to just kind of garner that NFL level with regards to the draft. And I mean, I like it too, because doing it over 2 days, because then it spreads it out. You're not trying to condense everything into one night, and then people would literally probably just watch the first round, and then after that, second round is just going to be, just like what we saw with Nikola Jokic or Nikola. Let me say Nikola. You can't say Nikola anymore. Nikola Jokic. When he got drafted, there's like the Taco Bell commercial, whatever that plays. Like that's. I like that, because at the very least you're giving more time even to these second round players and trying to generate some more hype, and that's more hype means more money for your league, so can't fault them.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that I had with it, I mean, I don't see, and I kind of agree with what you're saying. I understand what the NBA is trying to do. They're trying to generate more drama. The more you have, the more airtime, the more commercial time, the more money it comes in. So I get the concept of it. But what didn't make any sense to me is they had the prime time slot at 8 o'clock. Makes sense. Do your thing. The next day, it started at 4 p.m. So if you're going to try to make this in a big event, why are you doing it at 4 p.m.? Why not do another, even a 7 o'clock or something along those lines, or just make it too big, make it the production value of the 1 day better then? If that's what you're worried about, trying to make it more people eyes on it, it didn't really make any sense to do it 2 days and then the next one starts at 4 o'clock. People are still at work. Like, if you're so concerned about making more drama, there's nothing less dramatic about 4 o'clock starting time for the NBA draft.
Yeah, it makes sense when you have 2 rounds in 1 day, like the NFL does with day 2, where they got rounds 2 and 3, and then day 3, it's literally 4 rounds after that. So that makes sense, the earlier start times. But yeah, it's literally the same amount of picks in both rounds. Just keep the same primetime slots, and I think, like you said, that definitely will bring you more commercial success than, oh wow, the kids just got home from school, let's watch the draft. So
yeah, and the other thing is too is that if you were worried about maybe like missing out another opportunity, another game or something on ESPN, maybe shorten the on the clock. Then maybe second round you only get, I'm not even sure how many you get, if it's 5 minutes per pick or whatever. I honestly can't remember, but shorten it to 90 seconds or something along those lines to speed it up. But that's what I think the hard part about trying to sell the NBA draft more than the NFL draft, I think, is because there's so few less players on a basketball team than there is with an NFL team. Literally, Brock Purdy is why the NFL draft is awesome, because he was a 7th round pick and the guy was already in a Super Bowl. You can still, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you can't do that as the last pick in the NBA draft. That's not what I'm getting at. But what I'm saying is that there's day two, you still have Russell Wilson was a day two guy. Jonathan Taylor. There's still named guys that come out of day two in the NFL draft. Day three, you're most likely going to be someone that's not a name that everybody knows. You never know. It definitely happens. Tom Brady, obviously. But the point is, with the NBA draft, most second round guys, you're never going to hear because they're probably going down to the G League or they're going into some sort of farm system or they're the guys dancing on the sideline when someone makes a nice dunk. It doesn't really. That's I think what the difference is. There's not enough players on there to make it where it really matters.
Then there's Jokic.
and then there's Bronny James getting drafted in the second round.
Yeah,
by the Lakers.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and knock the elephant out of the room here. So we got Bronny James going to the Los Angeles Lakers with the 52nd pick.
Yeah, before we go any further, who all did not see that coming? No one? Yeah, everyone saw it coming. We all knew that.
Well, I will say I did kind of think that maybe he might have fallen a little bit further, and maybe because the Lakers didn't really need him. But yeah, I mean the writing was on the wall. There was going to be if he was there, they were going to take him.
We all know who runs LA. We all know who's the GM.
Shohei Ohtani. Oh wait a second, no, sorry.
Matthew Stafford.
No. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. But no, yeah. So big news. Bronny James goes to the Los Angeles Lakers, and we can go ahead and talk about, I guess, the Lakers because they were probably the most talked about team of the draft. Me personally, I think they had a pretty damn good draft, and I'll say it for two reasons. They got my favorite player coming out of the draft. They got Dalton Knecht out of Tennessee. If you haven't watched any of the highlights, the kid can just flat out shoot, ball.
He's a sniper.
Everything that you want on the court. He's got finesse. That kid is going to be an absolute star. I might even throw some rookie of the year kind of consideration in there. Might just be a little bit too hyped on him, but just his role that he's going to be playing, he's going to be a pivotal part of the Lakers. Second reason I think the Lakers had a great draft is they got Bronny, which means they have a damn good chance of keeping LeBron back around. So LeBron's going to go into his twilight years happy in LA because he gets to play with his son. They got a new scorer on there. LA did pretty good in this draft, I feel like.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at a lot of the teams that, a lot of LeBron-led teams, they have, what do they have? They have guys that can play defense and shoot threes. 3-and-D guys all around. And then you have guys that can spread the floor and then just let him be a freight train down the middle. And that's the perfect pick for them. So.
Yeah, and he fell. He was the most mock drafts had him going like 8 to Charlotte, I believe it was, or somewhere in the top 10, and he fell to 17. So that's a heck of a pickup right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely a good pick for them. They need they always need shooters. When you got LeBron on the team, you always need shooters. You need someone. We go back to the NBA playoffs first round against the Denver Nuggets. That series would have been close if those bench players are actually making points. We've talked about this before, but I just got to bring it up again because it's very frustrating on how they lost like that. But nonetheless, bringing in Bronny for LA is very strategic move. LeBron has been saying for the last 4 years that he wants to play with his son. He's in his last year of the contract. He got opt out and be a free agent. He got opt in and do this 1 year and be a free agent next year. So he ultimately let them know, like, yo, you bring in JJ Redick to be the head coach. You bring in my son to be on the team with us and I get to play with him. Yeah, there's like a 99% chance I'm going to re-sign with you guys for the next 2 or 3 years. And I think a very strategic move by the front office. They knew exactly what they needed to do. They heard their best player and his thoughts. And even though JJ Redick, LeBron, they'll both say that they never talked about this and LeBron wants to stay out of the loop and all this stuff. Like, I really think that's complete bullshit. I think they do talk about it and they just don't want the media to know because they don't want the GM to run the team. He wants the front office to have their own rewards off of what they do around the organization. And which, given the fact, yes, they do a lot for the organization, but LeBron has a lot of say, and we cannot deny that. And again, bringing in one of his good friends to be the head coach and bringing in his son to come play with him, yeah, he's going to resign for another 2-3 years.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, too, with the way the Lakers have kind of tied themselves to LeBron and all the moves that he wants to make, this is pretty much the only things that they really could do at this point. Because if you don't draft Dalton, if you don't draft Bronny, then at that point, even if LeBron does come back, this team is not going to win a championship. With what they have right now, but bringing in, LeBron, or bringing in Bronny, bringing in Dalton, at least this is able to kind of keep this core together a little bit longer, and it maximizes their ability to stay together longer and perhaps go on a run like they did in 2020.
Yeah, and so the wild thing is too is that this also is saying that without even going through free agency yet, and the Lakers are going to try and make some sort of splash move in free agency now that they were able to keep LeBron around, now that they were able to get maybe another shooter in there. They're going to go after another big piece to try and make this last little run for LeBron pretty nice. And on top of it too, you got to figure too, if he is going to do this 3 years, I think it's like a 3-year supermax they can offer him or something. Why not offer Bronny the same contract? And if it doesn't work out, be like, all right, well, it was fun while it lasted. We'll see you later, kid. Or maybe Bronny does work out. There was a lot of people saying that Bronny only really did play the 1 year. He had that shortened year because he had the cardiac problems, which he's been cleared on. So maybe Bronny actually is pretty decent. Maybe there was he is actually a second round pick. It could be a great off the bench guy. You don't always have to be the star of the team just because your last name's James,
I think it had to do a lot with coaching over there at USC. I think he probably, there was a rumors going around that he rubbed the coach the wrong way, and they didn't feed into the schematics of what they were doing and stuff like that. Like the coach wasn't feeding into bringing him into the game as much because he only played 10 to 12 minutes per game. And Bronny is the kind of player that he's going to go out there and play amazing defense. No matter what, he's going to be hustling on defense. You give him a shot, and he's going to take that shot, a three-pointer from the wing, from the corner, from the top of the key, whichever. He's going to take it. And he's athletic freak, so he's going to be jumping up for lobs and doing whatever. If you give him 20 to 25 minutes per game, bro, he's going to do damage. I mean, not every situation is perfect for everybody, with teams, with life in general. But we're talking about sports in the NBA specifically. There's players that go to certain teams with certain coaches, and they play like complete ass. And then they go to another team, and they become a goddamn superstar. Perfect example, D'Angelo Russell. When he was in Brooklyn, he was an all-star. He was scoring 25 points per game. He was dishing out the rock. He was doing all this. Then he went to Minnesota, and then after that to the Lakers, and he regressed because maybe the situation he was put in, the pressure he was under, I don't know what the case may be, but you could just see it, the cold hard facts that from different teams you could be a different player.
Yeah, I'm just calling it night one. Starting five for Los Angeles Lakers is going to be Bronny at the point, Reeves at the 2, it's going to be Dalton at the 3, LeBron at the 4, and then AD at the 5. I'm calling it.
I don't think Bronny gets to start right away. I think he's going to have to prove himself for sure.
That's my bold prediction. So,
yeah. Okay.
Opening night.
Yeah, so that's going to obviously be the big talk of the NBA draft will be Bronny. A lot of people can say what they want about LeBron, and half the people are going to love him, half the people are going to hate him. You have the debate if he goated status, whatever it is. I just think it is no matter who you are, it is pretty cool that LeBron, one, has been able to stick around and be relevant enough to stick around long enough to take care of himself, to be actually able to have a chance to play with the Sun. No matter if you like the guy or not, that is pretty cool. Any father would love to be able to do that, son or daughter. That's just an awesome experience. So for him to be able to maintain himself, to be able to be in this position, that's pretty impressive. Love him or hate him, you have to actually like it. And it's kind of interesting, though, too. LeBron is such a topic whenever it comes to sports and stuff. You remember just last draft, I believe it was, whenever they had that viral video of Deuce Vaughn getting drafted by his dad, and everybody was all crying and everything like that. Yeah. Half the country is gonna be pissed off that Bronny went to LA. But it's just so funny how it's LeBron. If it was somebody else, if it was Steve Kerr and his son or something, whatever, it would be like, oh, that's so amazing. But since it's LeBron, everybody's like, being griping over it.
It's hating 101, dog. Because just any father would love to play in a sport with their son, bro. So that's hating 101.
Son, daughter, whatever.
Stop fucking hating, dog.
Yeah.
Also, too, like on just like for in the comments below, you guys discuss this amongst yourselves. Is Bronny James the most hyped second round pick in NBA history?
I mean,
Seriously, has any second round pick in NBA history gotten more media coverage, more attention than Bronny? Let us know.
I would put $100 that
Draymond?
no one has gotten
No, I
that
mean
much.
like when he got drafted, not
Or
like
before
after.
he got drafted, because
Yeah,
everybody
before he
was
got
still looking where Bronny is going. Is he going to get
yeah,
drafted, or is he going to go back to college?
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, because I was even kind of come up with like random scenarios on that situation too of like what if he goes undrafted because LeBron what if LeBron wants to go somewhere else and then they can choose where they want to go together.
Oh,
Yeah,
tap. Let's get.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. LeBron said he'll never go back to Orlando.
Yeah,
He said that on the
I-
shop is on one of the episodes on HBO.
Hey man, that's
that's
his brother,
great.
man. Mickey Mouse.
Well, there was actually, believe it or not, there was other players drafted besides
Oh yeah,
and and Bronny James. Not that anybody's really going to know anything, but so this draft was really interesting, and which I think leads us to another debate we're about to get into in a couple minutes here. But we got to give a shout out to the number one pick, and I'm hoping I'm going to get this right. And over time, I promise I will get it right. But Zachariah Rashara, he is coming out of France. The kid is 6'9", and his average draft grade so far has been about a B to A minus, somewhere in there. He has a lot of different skills. He's not the Wembanyama type skill level, but he definitely does show flashes that he can be a star right off the bat. France was really having the country of France had a hell of a draft here. The number 2 pick for the Wizards was Alex Sarr. The kid is a power forward, and he is another large one, too. It's 7 foot tall, 224 pounds. So that's a large man right there coming out, and he's young, too. That's what's interesting about all these kids. What's that one time?
I was saying he's coming out from Australia right there, down under.
Yeah, man, they're coming down here big. And so the kid that actually a little fact here, actually, Sarr has a 9'2" wingspan.
wow.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane, man. And then so we'll round up the top 3 here. So Reed Sheppard out of Kentucky goes to the Houston Rockets. Those are the top 3. This draft class had a very much a European feel to it. The top 6 out of the top 10 were all European players. So my next question, I guess, for you guys, and I think it's going to become a pretty big debate here coming up very soon, is Europe taking over the NBA? And if so, is Europe doing the better job of getting these players ready to go, or would you rather go to a regular college? Do you think the fundamental way of going from college to the NBA is still working, or do you think it's better off to go Europe and then come to the NBA? You go first, man.
I mean, when you look at it as far as like the talent level from international or from Europe, the last 20 years, like you've got legendary names like Manu Ginobili. Even before that, you got Drazen Petrovic, Arvydas Sabonis, and then again Manu Ginobili. You've got Domantas Sabonis, Arvydas' son, and that's not even talking about 2 of the last 3 like great or 2 of like the last 3 MVPs, Giannis and Jokic. Like it's
No,
very
actually, the last. Speaking of what you're saying there too, the last 6 MVPs have all been from Europe.
yeah. So it's
Joel Embiid's not from here.
Overseas,
yeah.
overseas. No, the American players haven't won the last 6 MVPs. Granted, Jokic won it, a handful of times, and there was Embiid in there, but still, it's just going off of the point of that.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's very hard to argue that that Europe is not catching up to America. I would say, if I had to word it a certain way, I would say college probably gets you ready quicker in terms of I feel like a lot of the European players take a little bit longer time to develop when they come to America. Like, think about how long it took Giannis to get from when he was drafted to where he's at today. Think about Jokic when he first started compared to where he is today. It seems like a lot more of the college players maybe are a bit more NBA ready, so like coming out, they perform better than the European counterparts. However, I would say over time, Europe just really like the talent level starts to like shrink, and you could even say long-term sustained success, European players kind of have the edge at this point in time.
Yeah, I think with European players, I think they learn more of the fundamentals and work on more of the fundamentals at a younger
Exactly.
age than American players do. I think American players, they have the talent and the athleticism and speed
Yes.
over the European players. Now,
Hmm.
to answer your question, Steve, I think European players do prepare their players more than America does, because at
I got
15, 16 years old, you can go pro, and you're playing with adults
Yep.
from anywhere from 16 to 35, 40 years old over there.
Yeah, grown
Again,
men.
they play more fundamental basketball, so you don't need all that athleticism and speed and stuff like that. You just need to know how to play the game and have IQ. In
yeah.
America, it's more like you're 15, 16 years old. You're still in high school, and you're either starting off freshman year or you're in sophomore year, and you're going through the game. And if you haven't played AAU, like you're still learning the fundamentals there, and then you got all these distractions on all this stuff that's in America, going out to party or hanging out with your friends, playing video games or whatever the case may be. I think there's more focus on professionalism in sports overseas than it is in America. Not saying that
You're a true pro in a Europe.
yeah, not saying that it's a total bad thing, because you want kids to be kids, and you don't want them to live their lives and do what they want to do. But over there, it's like when you're 15 years old or 14 years old or 16 years old, it's like you got to make an ultimate decision. Do I want to play pro? This is what it's going to take for you to want to play pro.
Exactly.
In
Yep.
America, it's like if you want to play pro, so you got to be really good in high school and be really good in college, and then get drafted.
Yeah,
Over
you
there,
got.
it's like you're starting off like young. It's like it's different. Like your development starts at a younger age in Europe than it does in America.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I've noticed as well with the European leagues as well, it's very more team centric with how they play basketball. You rarely see, like, Luka Doncic was so hyped, and Wemby they were both so hyped coming out of Europe, but they weren't putting up, 30 points a night or like 25 points a night like what we see in college. Where over in America, it seems like it's a lot more me centric. Like it's more Europe, it's we, America, it's me, and you kind of even see it as well with like how they are off the court. In Europe, it's more the teams together, teams working together, teams like hanging out together. They're just all together the whole time. Whereas in America, a lot of the players are on social media. They're kind of like in high school, you're developing your
Yeah.
social media followings. You're focusing on, your status, almost borderline being an influencer over an athlete and working with your team. So that's another factor as well.
I think one of the things with the European players compared to the American players, George, you alluded to it a little bit. I think the European players don't come in as muscular. Our kids over here are just seems like they're a lot bigger and stronger than the ones like Giannis is an absolute specimen of a human, but he didn't turn into that until he got over to America, really. He
Yeah.
was a rail before, and it seems like even Jokic has always been, the dad
That's a
bod
great
god.
point. That's a
He's
great
never
point.
been like, but he's gained size now. Before he was a lot skinnier, so I think that's a determining factor, and that's one advantage that the U.S. players have over than the European players. I'm not really sure why that is. If it's just strength conditioning over there,
Yeah.
or food, or just whatever it is, they seem like they come into college. College players look a lot bigger than the European players do, as far as muscularity. I feel like.
I think a lot of that, though, too, just has to go with culture over in Europe versus over in America. What sports get most of the money over there? Which, I mean, when you go to Europe, what's the number one sport
Soccer.
you hear?
Soccer, right?
That's the thing. There's so
They're
many
probably a
different.
lot more lean than our players are, ready to go because they've been playing soccer their entire life as well in the offseason of playing basketball
Yeah, but I mean, there's,
and walking places.
yeah, well, and there's more of a focus as well for the money on soccer as opposed to here in America. Our focus is on football, basketball, baseball too, and that's just where the money goes. So
Even
yeah,
hockey.
so when you
Yeah.
have the strength and conditioning programs for basketball overseas, it's not it's growing. It's grown a lot more than it used to be, but it's not nowhere near on the level of American spending on conditioning for basketball. Whereas, again, you go to soccer over in Europe, how much they spend on their strength and conditioning versus over here in America.
Right.
There's a reason why America has the American soccer, at least the men's soccer team, has been trash for so
You
long.
got your choice here. You have your child is either male or female, and they're going to either choosing a college, or you have the opportunity to go play pro in Europe. Where are you sending your kid?
To me, I leave it up to my kid.
Yeah.
Leave it up to my kid.
I always stress it's important to get an education, depending on what you want to do. Like if my kid wanted to be like a doctor or a lawyer and wanted to play sports too, I'd say, well,
I meant more or less. I meant more or less of like for like athletics wise. Like obviously, obviously you're not going to tell your kids.
Let's not get into politics here. Let's not do that.
Like that. I meant more of like that didn't go as well as I expected the question to be. So I need to reword my stuff here, I guess. Then my point of saying, if they have the opportunity, let's go basketball because we're talking about basketball here. If they have a talent enough to go either Stanford or South Carolina for a girl, and I don't know, Duke UNC for a guy or Purdue, whatever it is or something, or they have an opportunity to go play overseas, where are you influencing them to go? I'm kind of leaning towards the European Bowl because I feel like you learn so much more and you become more of a professional so that whenever you do come back and sign those contracts, you're not like, I feel like here's a perfect example. I feel like John Morant. Remember how John Morant was the man, he was the greatest thing, kind of immature, and I think he got into some money, fell into it, and just started becoming a kid. I feel like maybe if he would have been in more of a professional setting for that entire time, let's go a Luka or even a Nikola, all those guys have been actually playing overseas as a pro for so long, it's not a big deal for you to sign that contract because you've already been used to living on your own and everything. So that's kind of more what I'm getting at. So I kind of feel like the better route, it feels like, in my opinion now, or you've got the G League as well, maybe, but that's kind of making a rise. But I feel like if I had the choice, I think I would do the European approach opposed to going to UK, Kentucky's or any of these other places.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's just, for me, I would leave it up to my kid because I wouldn't want to be the one to make the decision on what their next chapter in their life is going to be. Ultimately, we're two choices here. You're going to go play ball overseas or you're going to go play ball at another state. Like, ultimately, that's what it would be. So, I would just leave it up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably lean the college route a little bit, but that's just, just because it's just everything extra along with the athletics.
I would lean the college route for more selfish reasons on being close to them, being able to go see them and stuff like that. But again, that's why I got to leave it on them because I can't be living their life.
Yeah. Once you're 18, you make your own decisions. So.
Well, George, you also had Miami Heat had some draft picks in this this draft here. How do you think they made out?
Bro, I love the draft pick that we got. We had the 15th pick in the draft, and we selected Kel Ware. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong, but we'll go with that right now. Kel Ware, 7-foot center from Indiana. Bro, the guy could shoot the three. He can post up and do post moves and get points however he can. He can rim protect, which is one of the things that we greatly needed, bro. Like, oh my God, like so much frustration in that. And rebounding, bro. And he's a good passer, too. He's not no Jokic, but he could pass the ball, too. And when it comes to the pick and roll game, bro, he could either set the pick, drive to the basket, or post up for the three. Obviously, he probably won't be driving to the basket as much with Bam down there, but he could shoot the three. That means he can space out the floor, and him and Bam can do, like, some switches on offense and stuff like that. So I think it was a great pick for us. We've needed a center that we can match next to Bam because we have Bam at the center and he's only 6'9". It's like there's only so much that he can do. We need someone else that's going to be bigger than him out there, grabbing a lot of rebounds, dropping a double-double every single game. And he could shoot the three, which we love in Miami. Dude, I think it was a great pick, honestly.
Yeah, it's perfect switchability for that team. Like, you can't really ask for much more. And again, if you can find a way to, like, have those two in the starting lineup together at some point, that is a very dangerous defensive combo right there.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, absolutely. And Miami has had an uncanny ability to find diamonds in the roughs all over the place. They've been able to find a lot of, like, Bam. I honestly don't remember hearing his name at all in the college talk at all whenever coming into any kind of drafts. But he's turned into a star. I mean, they've just been able to hit picks after picks after picks on these guys that, Indiana's obviously no mid-major by any stretch, but I'm saying that they've been able to find these guys that turn out to be stars. Like, they've done they have great scouting department is what I was getting at. So it sounds like it's going to be a great fit to it. And Bam needs a break every now and then. He can throw this guy in, and like you guys were saying too, and recreate the Twin Towers. Tim Duncan and David Robinson in there with the two size. That should be pretty nasty down there.
Yeah, Towers, do it.
Yeah, we can't forget about them Orlando Magic, huh, Brandon? I heard you earlier, man. You sound like you were pretty excited about your pick. Why don't you go ahead and explain it to us?
Dude, I love it. I mean, we drafted 18 overall. A lot of people weren't expecting us for this guy to fall to us, but Tristan Da Silva out of Colorado, he's another international player as well, representing Brazil, also Germany as well. Brazil in the building. I think he's a great fit. I think he's a great pick for this team. I'm a little miffed that we traded our second round pick though to New Orleans. Like the guy that was drafted there would have been a fantastic fit too. But Da Silva checks pretty much every box that I think the Magic kind of needed. They needed a guy. A lot of people wanted them to get a point guard. I think honestly they could just move Suggs over to the point. He former quarterback in college. Like dude can be a passer. He's a good floor spacer. But I like what Da Silva brings because he's also an NBA ready product. He's like one of the oldest prospects that they had.
He was a 4-year player.
4-year player.
Yeah. 23 years old right now, but that fits with the Magic's timeline right now because Franz, Paolo, Jalen, they're all around that age. And so I think getting a guy that's not just going to take like 2 or 3 years to develop, a guy that is NBA ready, I think that's exactly what the Magic need to take that next step. And as far as his skill set that he has, again, he's a 3-level scorer, can spread the floor, can do a little bit of playmaking, do some rebounding, not the best athlete, not the best defender, but he does enough, I think, to where he can still, he's not going to be a liability out there on the court. So, and an incredibly smart, cerebral player. So I think, and a lot of the experts are giving this like a B grade. I think for where we were at, for what we needed, and the fact that he fell to us at that point, I think it's a home run pick. I think it's an A.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I just want to just point out, I'm not going to really say much on it because you really hit it up. But like I told you before, Brandon, you guys needed someone else that is going to be a consistent scorer, and I think this guy can be it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my favorite pick was the Dalton kid at Tennessee. I was hoping that he went to Orlando for you guys because I personally feel like that would have been perfect for what you guys need. A guy that can just shoot, and it was sitting right there. You guys, it was one pick away, and I was especially when he was dropping. I was like, man, that'd be so nice for Orlando to be able to pick that one up, just because and he's on the cheap and he's young. Like that is everything Orlando's doing right now.
Yeah. But I mean, you gotta prepare though too for your guy not to be on the board. Like in any draft, you gotta have. You can have your favorites, but you got to also have some backups. And like I said, I think a lot of people are looking at him as like, oh, he's a forward, another forward. No, I see him slotting in as like another at the 2. I could see Suggs moving to the point, and the Magic almost running like a 1 guard, 3 wing, and one big starting lineup. And
yeah,
I
you guys are big. You guys are big for sure.
Yeah. So, and I think that would be perfect. I mean, I know we'll start talking about free agents though too in a little bit, but yeah, as far as the draft goes, other than trading our second round pick, I think we had a great draft.
Yeah, well, I think that works out pretty well. I like the fact that you got a 4-year starter in there. You guys have a very young team, so you're already going to have a guy that seems like he's probably going to be mature. That 4 years really, compared to the one and done guys, that really does make a difference. I
would have loved to have gotten KJ Simpson, his teammate from Colorado, because then again, like we talked about cohesion and chemistry, that would have been fantastic. A guy that can, again, another shooter off the bench who plays tenacious D. Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, but I think that a lot of people sleep on him. I think KJ Simpson's going to be a solid NBA player one day. It just sucks we didn't get him.
And let's not forget too, like we were saying before, we have free agency starting Monday, so we'll definitely be getting into a lot of free agency talk.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be some interesting stuff going on, so there's plenty of time for teams to change around and improve or make some moves. So I think that's going to go ahead and wrap up for the NBA draft for anybody. Unless you guys have anything else you guys wanted to talk about on that one, I think that one pretty much puts a bow on it. I think that this year's draft, if I had to say, I think we'll have a lot of role players. I think there'll be a couple guys that might come out that will be put in and impress. I feel like this draft was full of a bunch of maybe 6 men of the year kind of caliber players. The French kids are going to be very interesting that came up from the top just because of their size, and maybe they might have got something brewing down there in the water. But I think that's going to be kind of what this year's draft will be. It's a bunch of 6 men of the year. I don't see too many all-star caliber players coming out, but I could be completely wrong. No one knows yet.
I will say though, Zach Edey though going to Memphis.
I did forget about him.
That is, I mean, I don't see him. He's not going to be like, he's not going to be putting up the kind of numbers he was in college in the league. But at the very least, you got a 7'4" center next to Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, that is.
And Steven Adams, too.
I know. And you got Steven Adams mentoring him. Like, that is. Like, your front court of the future is set in Memphis. Like, you talk about grit and grind. Like, it's back.
Yeah.
Like,
just hopefully John Moran don't pull out another gun.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. And so adding John Morant to that, too, like that. That's gonna be quite interesting. That team.
I'm strapped too. I don't show it on the camera, motherfucker.
Yo, they are cocked and locked in Memphis, man. They are ready.
Steve is a veteran. Damn it, he won't be showing it on camera.
Hey, he's the glue guy. He's gonna keep them together, man.
Dude.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and bounce from the NBA draft to America. Let's just face it, America's favorite sport. We're going to go bump back into some NFL. And we're going to start our weekly breakdown of the NFL divisions. We're going to start where it all ended last year. We're going to start in that the mighty AFC West. And we're going to go and kick it off. We're going to go break down on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, if you didn't know, they won the Super Bowl last year.
Oh, shit.
If you haven't heard yet. They won 11-6 last year, and let's face it, the Chiefs only seem like they're going to get better. They drafted Xavier Worthy in the first round of this year's draft. The offseason wasn't
off of Buffalo giving them that pick.
I can't believe Buffalo gave them that pick. Ironic of all the teams. But yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs had an interesting offseason so far going. They've had two major incidents. They released a player. They gotten
a player.
Yeah, they released a player. You know.
The most TMZ news of Kansas City there's ever gotten.
Yeah. Extra. They also got Rashid Rice too. That he has his issues going on. The
two
NFL
different issues too, by the way.
Yeah. They haven't been able to. They haven't announced what they're going to do yet because the investigation is still kind of sort of going on. With I believe the charges have been dropped on the photographer violations. Allegedly, he slapped or punched a photographer. I think the photographer has dropped the charges, so I think that one might be out. But
got paid, baby. The photographer got paid.
So the biggest one, obviously, is the car crash. That's a horrible tragedy, and I hope everything works out with that. But very silly move.
He killed the family, right?
What's that?
He killed the family?
I believe so, but I could be wrong on that one too. But I know he was back a lot of damage.
If he did, throw his ass in jail, bro. Throw his ass in jail.
Yeah, allegedly. And so yes, we got the Kansas City Chiefs in here. So what's you guys' thoughts on Kansas City here? I think the biggest move that they made is they re-signed Chris Jones. And that's going to go miles and miles for them. That even though he is getting a little bit up in age, the man is an absolute unit of a dude. He is a monster, a freak, and just any kind of scary thing you could think of, that man isn't.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, they re-signed the cornerstone of their defense, and the fact that they turned their biggest weakness on offense into borderline position of strength, getting Worthy, getting Hollywood Brown, like those are two big moves for that offense as well. And
I like the Hollywood Brown signing as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Going under the radar. I think that a lot of people are kind of sleeping on Hollywood Brown. He can still play. It's not like the guy's old too. He's young. He's just had a bad run in Arizona, and let's face it, who didn't?
Bro, his specialty is long ball. What was Tyreek Hill doing with Patrick Mahomes? Long ball.
Long ball. I mean, I was gonna say though, like, should we do spoilers now, or should we actually get through all the divisions before breaking down who we think's winning on all? But nah,
I think we know who's winning that all.
Yeah. I mean, but jokes aside though, like Kansas City, they needed to make a lot of moves in the offseason to have the best chance of three-peating, and they pretty much did everything they could do to ensure a three-peat. So you can't say anything more other than that.
The only thing that I didn't like for them, and which I thought it was the biggest move on the negative side, is getting rid of Willie Snead. Is his name? Is his name? Okay. Yeah, getting rid of him. I think that's a blow to their defense for sure, because they still have a vacancy at safety right now. So, they have a vacancy at safety and they have a vacancy at corner, unless they sign someone that I don't remember. So correct me if I'm wrong. But just getting rid of Snead, I thought was a big hit. And they're the Kansas City Chiefs. They could they always find a way to win no matter what. When you got one of the greatest head coaches in the game, Hall of Fame head coach Andy Reid, like you're always gonna be in it. You're never gonna be out of it. And you got, to me, the best quarterback in NFL history, Patrick Mahomes. Like, dude, like there's gonna be no I would say no doubts about them getting close to a three-peat. I'm not gonna say they're going to get a three-peat, but I think they're gonna get really close.
Oh yeah.
And last year was supposed to be the year to beat them if you were going to beat them, and they still found a way to win. So that's scary, and especially if Worthy does work out, and I don't want to use the pun that everybody's been using, if he's worthy of the worthy, you know what I mean? But
is Worthy?
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to do that one, but anyway, yeah. So if he does pan out, they got the speed that they were looking for again. Hollywood Brown, and then we can't forget the
Both
fact that
sides.
Travis Kelce is still relevant. They're going to use him a lot smarter. He's not going to be the main target anymore, or he'll still be the main target. They'll just be using him a lot smarter. He's not going to be running all the routes that he used to. They'll be using him short, intermediate stuff because the guy can't just not be guarded. I don't understand how that guy.
He's too fast and big for a linebacker.
I've never understood that how you're able. Those two guys, they're humongous dinosaurs running around out there, and you can't seem to guard the guys. So absolute skills, but.
And the thing is, though, too, and like you said, like that works so well with everything we just talked about. Speed on the outside with Hollywood,
right, and that leaves Travis Kelce open.
Yeah, and then you've got the play action as well that's going to open up those deep threats. So and you have the best deep ball thrower in the game, one of the best. So dude, that Chiefs offense, it's back. Like it's like, all right, Luke, what do you do to stop?
They just won twice in a row.
Exactly.
They didn't go nowhere.
And we can't obviously forget either that the running game is coming around now too. Isaiah Pacheco is a steal. He was 6th, 7th round draft out of Rutgers, and the kid is an absolute monster out there, man. Like, you cannot stop that guy. Like, all the memes about him just running are just hilarious out there. But he's an absolute.
You seen the one with the Chihuahua? Fat ass Chihuahua. He's moving his body left and right.
He's just all over the place, and I mean they re-signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which that guy I remember whenever that guy was coming out, everybody was so excited. He's gonna be the next Brian Westbrook. He's gonna be the guy. I remember.
Man, he had a good first half of the season.
Yeah. He gave me a great fantasy football team name. I did draft him, and it was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I mean, that was about the best thing he's done.
Nice.
That was about the best thing he's done for me.
I will say this, thank the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for making sure that the Chiefs aren't going for a 4-peat this year. Be glad about that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom, and what you've done for the league.
Yes, it was a quick 1-year break, but good times.
Have you guys seen the roast?
Yeah.
I saw the first hour and a half, and I haven't finished it yet. But it's been hilarious, bro.
People go hard on him on that.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Freddie's got a good sense of humor, though, man. I'll give him credit for that.
Hell yeah. He's a sport.
Foul things he said.
Except when it comes to
that guy's a legend, bro. He's a legend.
Right. Robert Kraft, that's where it's off limits.
That's off limits.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So we're going to move to number 2 in the AFC West as of last year, and that was the Las Vegas Raiders. They came with a record of 8-9. Let's face it, the Raiders have had some tough times lately. They haven't been able to say it mildly, really. They haven't been able to really find their quarterback, I don't think. And as of right now, their quarterback is Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell again. And looking at the two of them on the sideline, you would never think that either one of those guys are quarterbacks in the NFL.
Hey, put some respect on Minshew's name. He made the Pro Bowl last year.
Hey, and he was an Indianapolis Colts. So shout out to the Colts.
Bro.
How do you make the Pro Bowl? That's what I want to know. How do you make the Pro Bowl?
Because the stash is cool.
Bro, he's
just a cool guy.
Obviously, Mahomes can't make it because he was in the Super Bowl. You got Lamar, you got Tua, you got Josh Allen. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Unless they denied it and they're like, nah, I don't feel like going. Get someone else. Maybe that's what happened.
That's the state of the Pro Bowl these days, man.
Yeah, dude, super boring. Super boring, man. They need to just get rid of it and just do it like the NBA and all NFL team 1, all NFL team 2. Like, dude, that's it.
Or I mean, do it after the Super Bowl when everybody's like done with the season, and they can all just make it a chill. Just make it chill. You know, like bring back the Pro Bowl game. Well, they kind of did this year, but like bring
it back. It's just
it's not good to watch, man. It's too much of a violent sport to be going out there and playing for nothing. Like,
dude,
right, and the flag thing is kind of goofy, and someone almost got hurt doing that.
Yeah, because you're going super fast. Like your hamstring could get pulled easily.
You know, I want to see guys repping 225 on the bench like they did that one time. You had Larry Allen doing like 40 or 50. Like, goodness
doing
gracious.
some drive combine.
No, man, I'm talking like actual like players that got grown man strength in the league, not when they're just fresh coming out of college. Because those guys, like, they mature over time. Like Vita Vea was, I think, put up like 41. He could probably hit like 50 or 55 right now. He's that strong.
Yeah.
So,
well, speaking of draft strength, the Raiders actually got, and their first round draft pick was Brock Bowers, which that was one of those head scratchers, but not. Brock Bowers was definitely probably one of the best players available at that point, but they just drafted another star tight end though the year before in the second round. So that one was a little bit odd. And me personally, I think that they kind of saw the writing on the wall of there was JJ McCarthy, there was Bo Nix, there was no one saw the Michael Penix thing coming, let's face it.
Yeah.
But there were guys out there. I think they hoped that Jaden Daniels possibly fell on some miracle, or they should have moved up. But I feel like that's where they went a little bit awry in the draft. Was they should have been a lot more aggressive in going up and making it no doubt that's they're going after is that starting quarterback. They're hopefully thinking they might have found it in Aiden O'Connell, but I haven't seen much that lets me think that they're going to be that relevant in there. And honestly, too, you also have Davante Adams, who says he buys in, but constantly is wanting out.
Yeah.
So how long does he stay happy in Las Vegas if he's already sound like he's not happy in Las Vegas, if you get what I mean here?
Yeah, I feel like they're punting their quarterback situation in next year's draft. You know, Shadur Sanders is going to be available. I feel like this year, like I think they probably saw the writing on the wall with like the bottom three quarterbacks, and they were just like, they probably just thought, we'll try to wait for them, but we're not going to trade up for those kind of guys. Like, yeah, you trade up for a guy like, you trade up for your Jaden Daniels, you trade up for your Caleb Williams, but you don't necessarily want to trade up for a JJ. You don't want to necessarily trade up for a Bo Nix, especially Michael Penix.
That's what I was going to say. So what's wild, if they would have traded at that position up for Michael Penix, I don't think people would have been losing their minds about that. That would have been like, okay, I see what you're doing here. And we'll get into the Falcons when we cover the NFC South, because we definitely will be in detail. But that would have made a hell of a lot more sense, right? Like, go up and get Michael Penix in that situation. That would have been like, okay, hey, Las Vegas, you're on the right track here. But that one was kind of weird. And then go with Brock Bowers there. I mean, they to me, it seems like they had other positions they could have filled besides adding another tight end.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I mean, he's a generational talent for the position. Like, he's going to be that. I think he'll be that next great tight end. And also, too, in the second round, they got Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. He was basically my number 2 offensive lineman off the board that I would have wanted the Bucs to have taken if they didn't draft Grant Barton. But he's going to be a good solid like building block for the interior of that offensive line. And then I think what they're hoping for is that maybe get some cohesion up front with this offensive line, and then maybe when you bring in a rookie quarterback next year, you'll be in a lot better position where he's not dealing with just, oh my gosh, I'm a new quarterback. I've also got a new offensive line. I've got a new this, got a new that. Everybody else will kind of gel, and he can just kind of step in and just be ready to go.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say I feel like the Raiders just got rug pulled and they didn't know what to do after. They wanted Michael Penix Jr. and they thought he was gonna fall to them, and a lot of people thought they were gonna fall to them. I even thought, but obviously the Atlanta Falcons had different ideas, which I don't know why. You sign a quarterback for 5 years, 290 or whatever the case may be, and you go and draft a quarterback in the first round when you could have drafted other positions to make your defense better because your offense is pretty good. You make your defense better, but obviously you don't do that. So you go and you get another quarterback.
Yep.
And even in the post draft conferences and the interviews, the GM was even confused on why they did that. Yep. So it's just like I think the Raiders were waiting for him to drop to them, and they were gonna select him. And then when that didn't happen, they didn't have a plan B, so they probably waited out the whole clock of their draft clock, and they were like, you know what, we're just gonna go with best available and hope Aiden Connell can bring us a little glory and take us to the playoffs. But that's gonna be complete cocky. He ain't doing
I think
shit.
to put a bow on the Raiders, they did lose Josh Jacobs, but I do think watch out for Zamir White, the running back. Zamir White's, I think, going to have a hell of a season now that he's actually going to get the time to shine, because when Josh Jacobs was having offseason and he just wasn't having as dominant of the year prior, Zamir White came in and played really well and impressed the coaches a lot. So I think he might have a really good chance on to make some noise out in the desert out there. So we're moving on to the Denver Broncos out there. Let's ride. The Denver Broncos finished at
no more. They ain't riding no more.
the Denver Broncos finished at 8-9, and let's face it, they got rid of Russell Wilson. They rode him out of town, and wow, wow, that is just crazy. All that transpired with the Russell Wilson and Denver Broncos, all the money that was they ate so much money just to say we don't want you that bad. That is the ultimate breakup there I've ever seen. We don't want.
Again, for the comments section, is that the biggest waste of money in NFL history? Comment below.
Probably.
Gotta be.
Oh,
man. It's next to Monty Williams getting fired from the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the sad thing though too is like not only you're eating so much of that cap, you also traded so much of your draft capital to go after him, and it's like he brought you nothing. It was supposed to be a move that was a franchise-altering thing, and it altered your franchise's trajectory, all right, just not in the direction you were thinking. So
yeah, and they pretty much just went on like a fire sale, getting rid of all their players and started back over. And Sean Payton finally seems like he's really putting his hands on what he wants for the team, seeing all the players they release or traded. They did draft Bo Nix with their first-round pick. That's another one I could have saw going to the Raiders possibly, but they ended up drafting Bo Nix. Bo Nix seems like he'll be a Sean Payton guy who gets lots of comparisons to Drew Brees. But really, from all out of camp, and it's very, very early, so you can't get too excited. But Zach Wilson apparently is balling out of his mind out there in Denver, and maybe he just needed to do a change of pace. It is training camp, OTAs, coach speak. OTAs technically haven't started, so we'll see how it goes. He has time to come back down to earth. But maybe they got a good QB competition going down there with Bo Nix and Zach Wilson.
He's just balling out because he saw Bo Nix's mom in the stands. And he's just like,
That's all it takes.
He has a MILF radar. He's just like,
man.
Yeah.
Yo, MILF Hunters.
Reading that Rocky Mountain air. Got that Rocky Mountain high going.
Dude, honestly, it's like two trash cans going at it. It's just gonna be a shit show, I think, in my opinion. I think Bo Nix, he's a pretty good quarterback, but I don't think he's gonna transition well in the NFL. It's gonna be completely different because he played 4 years in college, correct?
It feels like he played 9 years.
Yeah, right.
Like
So, something
forever.
like that.
But yeah, he played. I played at Auburn. He played at Oregon. I want to say there was another stop in there, but I know the two big ones that he was at was Auburn and Oregon.
Yeah. So one thing I would say positively though, that I do believe in the fact that Zach Wilson got out of New York where all the lights shine bright and everybody's on your ass 24/7, and going to Denver, the more chill city, laid back, and they actually give you an opportunity. So I think that is the more positive side to it. I think his mentality probably changed a little bit for the better, and maybe he gets more confident in himself, and maybe he shows a little more potential. So I like the upside for Zach Wilson just transitioning from the Jets to the Broncos. But Bo Nix, I don't know. I don't see it.
He needs a lot more talent around him. And I mean, that's the thing with this Broncos team. Like any Broncos fans out there, they know this is not going to be their year. It's not going to be their year for the next 2 or 3 seasons while they recover from all the damage that the Russell Wilson saga brought him. So, it's one of those things where it's a rebuilding time for them. They're going to try to stockpile as many assets, I think, as they can. They're going to try to get as much draft capital as they can, try to get weapons around Bo Nix or Zach Wilson, whoever the quarterback of the future is going to be, and then also to strengthen and fortify that O-line because they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. No, they do.
Yeah, and honestly, I think what's really going to have help them as well is the defense is going to have to play like they did at the end. At the end, they turned it on. At the beginning, it was just abysmal. They the 72-point game, they were just awful, and so that's a big factor as well. Russell Wilson, everybody wants to really say he was bad and all this other. If you're playing from behind by so far every single game, you can only do so much sometimes, you know. So I don't think well, now, granted, we're talking about the Broncos when Russell Wilson's gone, but I don't think Russell Wilson's done either, though. I think that it was just a bad situation in Denver all around. I think everything just didn't work. I don't think him and Peyton got along. I don't think that Russell Wilson's washed up, or I just think it was best move for everybody just to go their separate ways on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Denver's definitely going to be an interesting team because they did lose Jerry Jeudy as well. They traded him to the Denver Broncos. They traded him to the Cleveland Browns. So the Denver Broncos are stockpiling on some draft picks. So on Peyton finally, fully in charge. Let's see if he can make some moves out there because Denver has potential to turn things around.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time too, and it's one of those situations where I think he's got enough of a legacy where I don't think Denver's going to pull the trigger after 2 seasons.
Agreed. And I think this was the plan: is that it's a slow burn. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, and you're in a hard division. So until you can actually compete with second, that's all you're going to be at best.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of wraps up the Denver Broncos then. So we'll move on to the LA Chargers, and the LA Chargers have to be, probably for the last few seasons, one of the top 3 most disappointing teams in the league. Every single year, they look fantastic on paper. Justin Herbert, everybody knows that kid is the dude. It's just something about it, and it's not even Herbert's fault. He's gotten hurt a couple of times, maybe a little injured, but just the team was under bad coaching and just would crumble. Yep. And so the big move they made, they brought in Khaki Pants Jim Harbaugh, came over from John Harbaugh, excuse me. Jim, excuse me, jeez, one of the damn Harbaugh boys.
Brothers are hard.
Jim came over from University of Michigan. He was a former quarterback himself. I think him and Herbert are going to get along fine, but I do think the way that they're going to run their offense is going to be not the same high-flying offense that they ran before. They brought over Greg Roman from Baltimore, who loves to run the ball. They also brought over Gus Edwards from over there.
And J.K. Dobbins.
They got rid of Mike Williams. They got rid of Keenan Allen. They got rid of Austin Eckler. All staples of the team that's been around for the last 4 years. So the LA Chargers are going to look a lot different. The weird thing about the Chargers is that the moves that they made, you're naming off all these guys. Keenan Allen's getting a little bit older. Mike Williams never makes a full season. And Austin Eckler seems like he's on his way out. Having said that, their wide receiver core may be a little off, but LA doesn't really look that bad. With maybe 2 competent coaches out there, things don't look as doom and gloom as it does for like the Broncos or the Raiders. And they've almost overhauled the entire team, including losing stars.
Yeah, and I will say this, like with LA, they're making a lot of their changes as far as like, turnover and everything at the important position, or at the important, I guess, parts of the team, you could say, like coaching staff. That's really important, getting your leadership set up for the future. And yes, you're losing stars at wide receiver, like Keenan Allen. Obviously, he's getting up there in age. He's a great weapon to have, but he's somebody that, at some point, you've got a younger quarterback, you've got a younger team, you've just drafted, your franchise left tackle. You're getting a lot younger. You're getting a younger head coach in there too. So it's one of those things like where you kind of want to hit the reset. It's kind of a soft reset, so to say. Yeah. With Denver, it was a hard reset. Everything blown up must go. But with LA, it's been kind of more of a, I guess, like a few spots here and there. They're kind of tweaking, whether it's OC, whether it's head coach. And I think that we'll just kind of see them tweak it a little bit over the next couple of years, and you're not going to see as big of moves, but you're just going to see kind of more over time, just small little systematic changes.
Yeah, I think ultimately it was on everybody's fault, really. I think from quarterback to offensive line to skill players on the offense to the defensive lines and skill players on the defense to the coaching. I just think that everybody they have their talents, but they only show it in spurts with coaching. Yeah. They had good coaching that sometimes they don't have good coaching. Justin Herbert.
He was the guy that we all loved because he would go for it on 4th down, and we thought he was great, and then the moron kept on going upon 4th down.
Exactly.
Like, okay, I gotta stop now, dude.
Yeah, he tried to be like what's the guy from Detroit?
Dan Campbell.
Yeah, he tried to be like him, but your team is not built like that because they have 4 Pro Bowl offensive linemen. You do not. And it's just like with Justin Herbert too. He has amazing games, and then when it comes to clutch time, he can't clutch it. He reminds me of Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, etc. All those QBs that can't really clutch in the moment. You saw it 3 times last year. 1 time against the Dolphins, and then 2 other times in divisional games. 1 was against the Kansas City Chiefs, and then Austin Eckler's another one. He'll go and run the ball very well. You think he's a top fantasy pick. You're going to choose him either you're thinking about choosing him or McCaffrey and this and that. And then other games, he doesn't show up. You know, the only one that I could give a good positive note on is Keenan Allen. Because anytime you throw the ball to Keenan Allen, I feel like he's catching it, no matter what. If it's one hand, if it's with his mouth, if it's with his legs, or with his helmet, it doesn't matter. He's going to catch the ball. And it's just like you get rid of him, and he's your top athlete. It's just like, I don't know. There's so many people to blame in this organization. I can't really put the blame on just one person. But it's true what you say, Steve, and it's true what you say, Brandon. Like, they have so much upside before the season starts. Then when the season goes on, it's like you're going down a mountain.
Yeah.
It's just digressing.
Dean Spanos.
Dude.
What's wild though too is that their defense would be on paper one of the best looking in the league and the most money spent, and they couldn't stop anything.
Yeah,
dude. When they had J.C. Jackson, they had Derwin James, they had Khalil Mack, they had Joey Bosa, they had what was the linebacker that and then he went to Miami?
Melvin Ingram, I believe they had.
Yes, Ingram, yes, bro. They had a star-studded defense, bro. Like I was using them in Madden all the time, and it's just like. Yeah, you're great on paper, but you got to show up when it's time to show up, and y'all not showing up, man.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting. I do think out of this group, I think the Chargers will be the only ones that will probably give any kind of challenge to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think I'll speak for everybody. I think on this one, we're all going Chiefs, I'm assuming, as far as winning the division, right?
100%.
Chiefs in a landslide.
Yeah, no, I do think that the Chargers though will be very much improved. They'll look completely different, and I think that they might actually give the Chiefs a little bit of run for money. I don't think that Kansas City, because I do think that they're still haven't totally fixed all of their wide receiver issues. We were talking about before, they do have a lot of talent out there and a lot of young talent. If it doesn't really work, because they all had that talent last year, they were dropping passes left and right. I do think though that the Chargers can maybe give them a little bit of run for money. I still would think the Kansas City's still going to pull away with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if towards the end, maybe them and Kansas City are going head to head on there.
I see Kansas City more I see them more running away with this division. I mean, I think they probably get like 12-5 on the low end, and then maybe like 14-3 on the high end.
They were 11-6 last year.
Yeah, but I mean they got better and they improved. So I feel like that's pretty much their ceiling. And then LA, I feel like they'll be a sneaky wild card team. I think they'll be better coached this year. So they won't the talents. I don't think the coaching is going to necessarily clear the entire gap with talent, but I think they have enough to be like maybe like a 7 or 6 seed in the wild card, like 9-8. And then Raiders and Broncos next year.
I don't think the Chargers really do much. I think they finish the season 9-8, and I think with the wild card specifically, there's going to be too many teams. There's too many contenders in the AFC. You got AFC East. You got Buffalo, Miami, and New York going to go neck and neck. You got the AFC North. You got Baltimore and the Steelers and Cleveland going neck to neck. Then you got in this division, Kansas City is taking that all day. I don't care what anybody says.
They're the quick front runners in that one.
And then for the AFC South, you got the Texans and you got, I would say, the Jaguars. I'm sorry, the Colts are not going to be there yet. I'm sorry, Steve, but I would say the Texans and the Jaguars. But
I think we had actually some bad internet connection there or something like that. I thought I heard something about the Colts weren't big contenders. It was weird. It's okay. We can, don't worry about it.
The point is, every division has like 2 teams that can fight for a playoff spot. So I don't think the Chargers are going to be there.
It's definitely be tough for the Chargers in there. I can just foresee them. I think that Harbaugh is that good of a coach, and I think that Justin Herbert's that good of a player, and their style they're going to use, they're going to protect him a lot better. So Herbert's not going to have to be the dude that he's have to been. I think it's just going to come down to him making smart decisions. He's never really been an interception guy. It's more of he's almost had to do too much sometimes because they just put themselves with the defense being in such bad position. So,
and he's played injured the last 2 seasons.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, let's face it too, out of really all of the top tier quarterbacks, he's played damn near better than almost anybody against Mahomes every single time.
In his age group, 100%. 100%.
You know, so Herbert, I think, is still just untapped potential. Now you actually got a legitimately good, I think, head coach that's proven that he can be a winner, NFL already, and college. So I think that's going to be a big thing. So to me, unless you guys have any other final thoughts on the AFC West, I think that's going to wrap it up for us with them. We're all picking the Chiefs to go on that. You guys got anything else you want to touch base on them with them?
I just want to mention that when Justin Herbert came into the league, him and Tua came into the league at the same time. Just to put an example there, Justin Herbert came in with a whole bunch of weapons. Tua did not. Tua had who was his best player when Tua came in? Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
And it's just like Justin Herbert had all the arsenal around him. He had all the ammo. This guy would not run out of ammo. Now it's a completely different story. Now let's see if he can be that top tier quarterback still, with the sophomore year wide receiver gonna be the number one target, and you got another wide receiver that they drafted in the draft class. He's pretty good. He's not bad. And then you're bringing in
McConkey.
Yeah, and then you're bringing in two running backs.
Cool name, man. Lad McConkey. I love that name.
2 running backs that have major knee injuries.
Yeah.
So it's like, we'll see. We'll see what he does. We'll see.
I feel like after the show, I want to go to a bar and order me a Lad McConkey and be classy. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a good classy drink to you.
Drink it like this. Pinky up.
Yeah, there you go.
Pinky up. Pinky
Get
up.
me a Lad McConkey right here, Stat.
Can I have a live McConkey?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's got to be something really good. And
you want to smoke in a pancake with that?
Yeah, there you go.
Lad McConkey's pure Irish whiskey.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. I think we're all going to
McGregor
have ourselves a couple Lad McConkeys and wrap this thing up. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure doing this with you guys. We got another episode coming, hopefully in the coming days, maybe next week. We're going to be hitting NBA free agency, and then we'll be breaking down the NFC West. So we got plenty more to come. NFL season right around the corner. Plenty of stuff coming up. We hope you guys have as much fun as we did out there, and stay safe, and we love you all.
Peace!
Peace!